Good evening, black people and all allies fighting for black liberation, black prosperity, and black joy. I'm Charles Blow, and welcome to Prime. The Supreme Court's term opened today, marking the first time that justices have physically appeared in the court in 19 months due to the pandemic. Right-leaning justices hold a 6-3 majority on the bench, making the body the most conservative it's been since the 1930s. Legal analysts suggest that this term may produce some of the most conservative rulings in decades on issues like gun control, abortion, capital punishment, and national security. Despite the highly politicized path to confirmation for the most recent appointees to the court, the justices have routinely asserted that the court itself is apolitical. During a speech at Notre Dame University, when speaking on the politicization of the court, Justice Clarence Thomas had the following to say. When we begin to venture into the legislative or executive branch's lanes, those of us, particularly on the federal judiciary with lifetime appointments, are asking for trouble. And during a speech at the University of Louisville, in a center named after Senator Mitch McConnell, Justice Amy Coney Barrett said that judicial philosophies are not the same as political parties, but they are political, of course. While former President Trump appointed the recent wave of conservative Supreme Court justices in Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, another politician was indispensable in ensuring their confirmations. That person was Mitch McConnell. McConnell stonewalled President Obama's 2016 appointment of Merrick Garland to the court so that President Trump could appoint Neil Gorsuch. McConnell also forced through Brett Kavanaugh's highly controversial confirmation given the accusations of sexual assault against him. McConnell also hastily pushed through the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court just before the 2020 election to guarantee that the open seat would go to a conservative. So while the justices of the Supreme Court contend that their positions and roles are apolitical, the reality is that this bench has been stacked for political purposes, meaning that the laws of this country are headed towards right-leaning agendas for the foreseeable future. Joining us now by phone to discuss is founder of National Voter Protection Action Fund, Don Calloway. Don, how are you, sir?
Brother Blow, I'm good. Forgive the visuals, but I'm going to do what I can to talk some sense into these folks tonight, man.
Absolutely. So this is now the most politicized Supreme Court the nation has seen, in almost 90 years. What does this mean, and what does it portend for the coming session of the court?
Oh my goodness, it means so much. The first thing it means is that elections matter. So, of course, we understand that there was some chicanery in the 2016 election that gave us Donald Trump, but nonetheless, with his election, we had an unprecedented 3 Supreme Court justices. Of course, it also means that one of those seats was stolen when you consider how Kavanaugh was appointed because of the seat that was supposed to go to now Attorney General Merrick Garland. And of course, the third seat is the result of the same Republican lack of integrity by rushing Amy Coney Barrett in during the campaign year, just like you pointed out, when of course they did not give Barack Obama that same privilege. I know that's not what we're talking about right now, but it's important that when we're talking to our people, we lay out that this conservative court and the decisions that come from it are a result of Republican chicanery and lack of integrity. So it's important that we put that out there. I think it's also important
let's actually talk about that, though. I mean,
absolutely.
The Republicans, Mitch McConnell in particular, is showing and saying outright he cares not one bit about precedent or normal procedure. He's going to do anything and everything that it takes to stack the court with conservative justices, thereby ensuring a conservative court for probably the rest of my lifetime.
Well,
why
sadly,
is
we
it
hope
then
it's not.
that Democrats do not think the same way?
That's right. And I hope you live long and prosper, but we hope that it does not take the rest of our lifetimes, even if it takes a miracle. But, Brother Blow, we need to also point out that while Democrats are trying to act in the interest of tradition and integrity and playing gentle and playing nice, we have the power to stack the Supreme Court right now. There's nothing in the United States Constitution that says that the Supreme Court has to be 9 members. While we have the presidency and while we have a Senate majority, we could push the court to 12 or even 15 members and stack it with all black liberal justices. But we won't do that because Democrats, particularly Joe Biden, are far too interested in maintaining some allegiance that doesn't exist to some moderate, white voter out there. But we could
let's
do
talk
that,
about that.
right?
Let's talk about that for a second. During the campaign in 2020,
Yes.
Joe Biden
It was
did everything he could to avoid this question of stacking the court or expanding it in order to get more justices on the court. As you say,
Wait,
nothing in
one
the
second,
Constitution sets
Brother
a
Charles.
number.
I think it's important that we get the language right. You use the right word, expanding the court, because, by the way, Republicans have already stacked the court, right? So we have the power to expand the court, and you're right. I'm glad you made that distinction.
Right, but Biden has actively avoided this, probably happy that people stop asking him about it. Why is he so opposed to this, to breaking, with the 9 members of 9 justices, when you can see that McConnell is saying, even if he gets the control of the Senate back in 2022, he's going to do everything he can to make sure that the federal judiciary is stacked for conservatives. He's saying that out right now.
The reason Democrats, and particularly Joe Biden, will not expand the court is because, like I said a moment ago, Democrats are enamored with this idea of this flyover country, middle American white voter, when the reality is that white men have not voted in the majority for a Democratic president since 1960, John F. Kennedy. And we keep holding on to this fantasy of this white American voter who is somehow going to come our way if we talk enough working class moderate politics. It's never going to happen. So let's double and even triple down on progressive ideals, as opposed to making our grandchildren live with the foolishness and frankly the oppression that is going to come from this conservative stacked court. And when we talk about the term beginning, it actually began today. The Supreme Court said today, without a hearing, without oral arguments, that D.C. did not have a right to a congressman. I have been deeply invested in the fight for not only D.C. statehood, but the right for D.C. congressional representation. And that was the first day one decision that came out of this court today. So we can expect a whole lot more foolishness. When you're talking about campaign finance reform, when you're talking about a woman's right to control her own body, when you're talking about gun rights, my Lord, as you know, New York State has not allowed conceal and carry permits for years and years. And that's probably for the best in the world's most populated city. That is probably going to be severely challenged. So we will see Republicans, A, not only stack the court, which they have, but B, they have stacked the appellate court such that they will not waste this time. All of these critical, crazy conservative decisions are going to come out this year on campaign finance, on abortion, on taxation, on DC representation, and on guns. They don't play when they get the ball in their hands, and that's something that Democrats can take a lesson from.
Wait, do you also believe that maybe Democrats are operating under a myth that the system isn't broken, and that Republicans already know it's broken because they broke it, and they don't mind breaking it some more?
Yeah, not only did they break it, but then they spent the last 2 weeks on a PR campaign with Clarence Thomas and Mitch McConnell and Kavanaugh trotting out, giving interviews, which Supreme Court justices rarely do. They give paid speaking engagements. They don't give interviews. But we saw them trot out on a PR circuit, giving interviews talking about how they're saddened at the politicization of the court and they're saddened that people are losing faith. Well, you wasn't saddened when Mitch McConnell took our seats over the last 4 years. You weren't saddened when it was politicized in order to allow you to stack the court. So one thing that Republicans shamelessly do is gaslight the American people. And of course, we as black people know that this is something that's happened to us forever. The cheaters tell us that we're not working hard enough, that they are the party of merit and self-determination, and they are the ones that are playing by the rules and have all this integrity, when actually quite the opposite is demonstrably true. So, Democrats aren't even under the myth anymore. We know they're cheating. We know they're terrible people when it comes to integrity and doing the right thing, but we somehow, again, continue to hold on to this this Xanadu of the white voter who's going to leave us if we do anything truly progressive. And what we should be doing is tripling down on the changing, evolving majority, which involves black and brown and young and non-Christian and LGBTQIA communities, the weird people who have been historically excluded. If we triple down on them, understanding that that's where the population numbers actuarially are going in this country, if we triple down on them and decided to be true to our values of the emerging American majority, that would end up in a much better place for everybody from a policy perspective, instead of clinging to this
Right.
unicorn of the white Midwestern voter.
Don, I have less than a minute. What do you believe will be the most consequential decision that this Supreme Court will make in this session?
You know, I think that the gun stuff is going to be serious. The abortion stuff is going to be serious. But abortion has always, and guns have always been a patchwork of decisions in this country. I think that something that's going to be underrated here is the campaign finance case, Federal Election Commission versus Ted Cruz for Senate. It's a challenge by Ted Cruz about whether or not he can be repaid for loans that he made to his.
Don Calloway, I think we just lost him. Don Calloway, thank you so much for joining us tonight.